Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to tackle Reiki. And our main guide for this is Nina L. Paul's Reiki for Dummies.
Exactly. So we've got excerpts from the guide. And our mission, really, is to dig into what Reiki is all about.
Right. Go beyond just the surface level.
Yeah, extract the core stuff, the principles, the practices, what it might offer you. And we want to approach it, well, openly, whether you're just curious or maybe even a bit skeptical.
Which is understandable. We're looking to really grasp the concepts behind this energy healing system. The book says it started in Japan with Mikao Usui.
Right, and we'll explore what Reiki is, this idea of spiritual or universal life force energy channeled through the hands, and just as important, what it isn't.
Okay.
We'll also touch on the body's subtle energy systems, its history, the different branches that exist, and, how it might be used practically for well-being.
It's funny, the book kicks off mentioning these foolish assumptions about the reader.
Yeah. It assumes you might be curious, maybe thinking about trying Reiki, or perhaps wanting some guidance on classes and stuff.
And it calls out different folks, the open-minded skeptic, the newbie.
But new-age aficionado, too.
Yeah.
So, wherever you're coming from, hopefully this deep dive offers something useful. Okay, so, fundamentally, what does the book say Reiki is?
Well, it defines it as spiritual energy or universal life force energy.
Yeah.
And it's passed on through the hands.
Okay.
A really key point is that the energy doesn't come from the practitioner. It's understood to come from a higher source.
Like God or spirit or the universe, depending on your perspective.
Exactly.
And how does someone, tap into this? The book mentions attunements.
Yes. It describes those as a series of initiations. They basically open up your ability to channel Reiki energy. It's less like learning a skill and more like activating a channel, I guess.
Interesting. And does it matter how often you use it?
Apparently, yes. The book notes that the benefits, they seem to depend on how often you use Reiki and the intention behind it.
Yeah. Makes sense. But it also clears up some things Reiki isn't, right?
Right. Big ones. It's not a religion. You don't need any specific beliefs to use it or receive it.
Okay, that's important.
Also, it's not massage, though it can feel relaxing. And critically, it says it doesn't depend on your belief to work.
So even if you're skeptical, it might still have an effect.
That's the claim, which is, a pretty significant point. Now, moving on from that definition, the book gets into the body's subtle energy systems. This is where it gets a bit more conceptual, maybe.
Yeah, it steps into that less tangible territory. But it's fascinating how it connects it. It talks about subtle energy and even mentions scientists using these things called squee-wits.
Superconducting quantum interference devices.
That's them. To measure really faint magnetic fields around the body. So it's kind of bridging that gap between old wisdom and modern tech, potentially.
And this energy has different names in different cultures, right? Che, prana.
Exactly. Which suggests it's a concept people have recognized for a long, long time. The book breaks down the subtle anatomy into a few key parts. First, the aura.
Okay, the energy field around us.
Described as having layers: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. And the idea is that changes in the aura might even happen before something shows up physically, like an early warning sign.
And there are meridians.
Yeah, the energy pathways. Think of the acupuncture system, like invisible rivers carrying energy through the body.
And finally, chakras.
Right. These are the major energy hubs, sort of lined up along a central channel. The book has a table linking the main 7 chakras to different parts of the body and different aspects of life.
Like the root chakra for security, a heart chakra for love, that kind of thing.
Precisely. It governs different areas.
It also briefly mentions using a pendulum, potentially, to sense if these chakras are balanced or not.
As a diagnostic tool. But it makes a really good point about needing permission before you start, probing someone else's energy field.
Yeah, definitely need to be respectful there. Okay, so this whole system, where did it actually come from? Let's get into the history.
Right. Chapter 3 covers the history and the different branches. It all points back to Mikao Usui. The book identifies him as a Japanese Buddhist, the founder of this whole system.
And there's a lineage.
Yeah, sort of a teacher-student line. Usui taught Chujira Hayashi. Hayashi taught Hawayo Takada. And Takada is credited with bringing Reiki to the West. Most Reiki taught worldwide today apparently comes through her line.
Interesting. And what did Usui originally teach?
The core elements were things like the Reiki principles. We'll get to those specific hand positions, meditations, symbols, and mantras, and the attunement process we mentioned.
But it wasn't totally rigid.
Well, the book does say Usui might have varied his teachings for different students. So this idea of one single original Reiki might be a bit simplistic.
Gotcha. It mentions a quote, too, from an old Reiki manual.
The Usui Reiki Hige, yeah. Talking about making these healing methods public rather than keeping them secret within families, a big shift. The book also lists some specific Japanese techniques: Reiji Ho for intuition, a Reiki box for distant stuff, Seishin Toitsu for focus, and it explains how different Reiki masters sometimes adapt things and create new branches with new names.
So if you wanted to learn, how would you choose?
Good question. The book gives practical advice. See what's near you, ask practitioners you trust, maybe try a session or a Reiki circle first to get a feel for it, and definitely ask potential teachers questions about their background, their style, what the class covers.
Makes sense. Okay, you mentioned the Reiki principles earlier. They sound pretty fundamental.
They really are. Chapter 4 dives into the 5 Reiki principles. The book presents them as the cornerstone of Reiki as a spiritual practice, almost like guidelines for living well.
And what are they?
They're usually stated as, just for today, don't get angry. Just for today, don't worry. Just for today, be grateful. Just for today, be honest in your work. Just for today, be kind to yourself and others.
That just for today part seems key.
Hugely important. It's all about the present moment, right? Forget yesterday's regrets. Don't get lost in tomorrow's anxieties. Focus on now. The book even gives tips for staying present, like noticing your senses, really listening to people, spending time outside, mindful breathing.
Let's quickly touch on each one. Don't get angry.
Yeah, it acknowledges anger as normal, but suggests looking underneath it, often finding fear, and dealing with that instead of just staying mad.
Okay, and don't worry.
Worry is basically living in the future, isn't it? The book suggests bringing your focus back to the present, where you can actually do something.
Right, be grateful. That feels really positive.
Totally. It's highlighted as a path to happiness. Suggestions include keeping a gratitude list, consciously thanking, making it a habit. It connects gratitude to humility, too.
Makes sense. Be honest in your work. What does work mean here?
It's broad, not just your job, but also like volunteering, raising kids, your personal projects. Are you doing things with integrity, using your talents well?
Good questions to ask yourself.
Good
And
bit.
finally, be kind to yourself and others.
Yeah, this connects to seeing the spirit, the value in everyone. Start with small acts of kindness, it suggests. Some people apparently meditate in the Gasso pose while saying these principles.
Okay, so that's the philosophy. What about actually experiencing Reiki? Receiving a treatment or giving one?
Right. Part 2 of the book, it's practical. It starts with finding someone to give you Reiki. You could ask a friend or family member who practices.
Or find a professional?
Exactly. The book uses that analogy, home cooking versus a restaurant meal. Both can be great, just different settings, maybe different levels of formal training.
How do you find a professional?
Get recommendations from friends, maybe your massage therapist or doctor. Attending a Reiki circle is another good way you meet people. You can try out different practitioners' energy.
And preparing for your first session.
Keep an open mind, basically. Try to relax, maybe think beforehand about what you hope to get out of it or any issues you're dealing with, but don't overthink it. And maybe avoid a huge meal or tons of coffee right before.
What's a typical session like?
Well, you'll probably chat with the practitioner first. Then you lie down, fully clothed, usually on a massage table. Get comfy with pillows and blankets. The practitioner will then gently place their hands on or slightly above different parts of your body.
Now, what might you feel?
Yeah.
The book lists possibilities, right?
Yeah, table 5-1. Things like warmth or coolness, tingling, maybe seeing colors, feeling emotions bubble up, muscle twitches, deep relaxation, almost dreamlike states. Some people report sensing things, but, and this is important, there's no right way to feel. Some people feel a lot, some feel very little. It's all okay.
And after the session?
The practitioner lets you know it's ending. Take your time getting up. You might want to sit quietly for a bit, maybe drink some water, just get grounded before you rush off. And it emphasizes that healing isn't just passive. Your openness matters.
Right, you're participating by being receptive. Okay, so that's receiving. What about using it more broadly, like with family or even pets?
Chapter 6 covers that. It stresses how gentle Reiki is, suitable for literally all ages and animals too. Why use self-Reiki? Lots of reasons.
Like stress.
Yeah, stress reduction, easing side effects from meds, boosting low energy, getting insights into emotional blocks, helping with sleep, supporting the body with physical illness. The idea is it balances your energy and gets to root causes.
It also mentions using it during big life changes or for burnout.
Definitely. And even for deepening your spiritual connection or intuition, that relaxed state can help you connect with your inner wisdom, move past the mental noise.
The book shares some personal stories too, doesn't it? About pregnancy and end-of-life care.
Yeah, really touching examples. Anita's and Rachel's birth stories, and Nina's experience with her father passing, emphasizing the peace and comfort it seemed to bring.
And pets. You can use it on pets.
Absolutely. Cats, dogs, birds, fish, horses. Animals often respond really well to that gentle intention. You can do hands-on, or if they're skittish, just beam Reiki from a distance. The book talks about watching their reactions to see how they're responding.
Okay, so if all this sparks your interest and you think, hey, I want to learn this, what does the book say about training?
Chapter 7 is all about seeking training, reasons to learn, mainly to get the attunement, that initiation, and learn the techniques for yourself and others. It usually happens in 3 levels or degrees.
And finding a teacher.
The book gives a great checklist of questions to ask about their own training, their lineage, how they teach, what's covered in the class, how much practice time you get, materials, cost, ongoing support, really practical stuff.
Good things to know beforehand.
It also mentions that saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, trusting that the right opportunity will show up.
What do you learn at each level, roughly?
First degree is the basics, hand positions,
Yeah.
self-Reiki. Second degree brings in distant healing. And the first 3 symbols, the power symbol, the mental emotional one, and the distance symbol. Master level is more advanced stuff, and learning how to give attunements yourself.
Ah, the symbols.
Yeah.
That seems like a unique part of Reiki.
It is. Chapter 8 focuses just on the Reiki symbols. They're seen as tools like keys to help connect with specific aspects of the universal energy. Though advanced practitioners might rely on them less over time, connecting more intuitively.
Did Usui use them from the start?
Apparently not. The book says he added them later to help students connect. They became really central in the Hayashi and Takata lineages, which is why they're common in Western Reiki.
But you can't just learn them from a book, right?
Crucial point. The book stresses you need the attunement from a teacher for the symbols to really work as intended, to connect you to the energy. It's an energetic transmission, not just learning a shape.
Okay. Can we quickly cover the main symbols? The power symbol.
Chokure means something like, put the power here. Used for boosting energy, cleansing spaces or objects, protection, amplifying other symbols, helping manifest goals, even charging up food or water.
Then the mental and emotional symbol.
Seiheki. Its meaning is linked to connecting the divine and the human. Used for emotional healing, releasing stuck feelings, promoting harmony, changing habits, dealing with addictions. It apparently has roots in Tendai Buddhism.
And the distance symbol?
Hansha Zeisho Nen, a more complex one, meaning something like no past, present, or future. It's made of Japanese characters, used to send Reiki across space and time-healing past stuff, sending to future events, connecting deeply with someone far away.
Wow. Okay, so once you're attuned, how do you actually, channel the energy?
Chapter 9 covers getting ready to channel. Big takeaway, Reiki flows through you, not from you, so you're a conduit, not the battery. You shouldn't feel drained.
How do you get started? Focus the flow.
Simple things first. Get quiet, turn off distractions. Music can help something sacred or just personally moving. Being in nature. Just paying attention, really. Meditation strengthens that connection, too.
What about prayer or intention?
Both are valid ways to begin, the book says. Helps clarify your purpose for the session. You can use simple prayers or affirmations.
It mentions Reiki guides, too.
Yeah, the idea that you might connect with spiritual guides, potentially even Usui, Hayashi, or Takata themselves, suggests some meditation to meet them, focusing on breath. And reminds us, Usui recommended meditating on the 5 principles.
Are there specific techniques for focusing?
Yes, Japanese techniques. Gassho meditation, hands in prayer position, helps center you. Joshin Kokyuho, a cleansing breath exercise. Sesshin Toitsu, breathing energy down into your hands to increase sensitivity. There's also Hatsure-ho, which combines several of these.
What about chakra meditation?
That's common in Western Reiki, helps you sense and balance your own chakras. You can do it touching the chakra points, hovering, using visualization or hand movements. It also briefly mentions contracting the Huyin point, an advanced technique to concentrate energy.
Okay, so you're centered, ready to channel. How do you actually work on someone else?
Chapter 10 gets into healing others. It starts with standard hand positions for a full body treatment covering the head, front, and back. Provides a basic structure.
But it's not just robotic, right?
Definitely not. It emphasizes intuition just as much. Developing an inner knowing or sensing where energy is needed through feelings in your hands, heat, tingling, coolness. Most people blend the standard positions with intuition.
Are there specific Japanese techniques for this too?
Reiji Ho, that's about letting spirit guide your hands. Biosen Weiken Ho, scanning the body with your hands to feel for imbalances or areas that need attention. Koki Ho, using your breath to send focused Reiki, sometimes visualizing symbols.
And balancing chakras again.
Yeah, the standard positions cover them, but you can give them extra focus. Biosen scanning can help pinpoint which ones need attention, and you can even send Reiki without touching, beaming it, using breath and intention from across the room.
Of course, a big part of learning Reiki is for yourself. Self-Reiki.
Absolutely essential. Chapter 11 stresses. Put your own oxygen mask on first. Benefits. Relaxation, stress relief, maybe even preventing illness by keeping your energy flowing smoothly.
How do you fit it in?
Schedule it. Even short sessions count. Integrate it into your routine, maybe first thing in the morning or last thing at night. Prepare like you would for giving Reiki to someone else. Get centered. Set an intention. Maybe create a nice atmosphere.
Do you do quick sessions?
Totally. Spot Reiki, the book calls it. Just placing your hands on yourself wherever you need it, a headache, a sore knee, whatever. It gives an overview of self-Reiki hand positions too, but again, intuition is key.
Now, something often linked with energy work is crystals. Does the book cover that?
It does. Chapter 12 is Reiki Rocks. It talks about crystal healing as a separate but compatible practice, also based on subtle energy. Humans have used crystals forever, right? Jewelry, traditional medicine.
How do they work with Reiki?
The idea is crystals have their own energy signatures. Natural ones, not glass. You can find them in shops, online, maybe even hiking. Check local rules first. Many healing crystals are pretty affordable, like clear quartz. Different shapes have different uses, like wands for drawing symbols or points for directing energy.
Do you need to do anything special with them?
Apply the same Reiki principles. Integrity, intuition, intention. Cleanse them first, running water, sunlight, salt, visualization, sound, lots of methods. Then you can program them with your intention or with Reiki energy.
How do you use them in a session?
The person receiving Reiki could hold them, or you could place them on or around their body, maybe corresponding to the chakras. The book has a table for that. Crystal grids are mentioned too, but that's more advanced.
Okay, so putting all these pieces together, how do you structure an actual Reiki session for someone else?
Chapter 13 lays it all out. First, create the space. Comfy temperature, soft light, quiet, clean, not too cluttered. Have supplies ready, tissues, water, pillows, blankets. Be mindful of scents, like candles or incense. Some people are sensitive.
And preparing yourself.
Get centered, meditate, set your intention for the session, then prepare the recipient. Chat briefly, ask what they need, explain the process, and always, always get consent, especially for touch.
What about during the session?
Start gently. Maybe with an intention or prayer, cleanse their aura. Follow the hand positions, standard or intuitive, letting your hands guide how long to stay in each spot. You might make mental notes.
How do you end it?
Give thanks, cleanse your own energy. Kinyoku-ho is good for this. Make sure the client feels grounded before they get up. Share any feedback gently and responsibly, no diagnosing if you're not qualified. Maybe discuss if they want another session.
It mentions aura cleansing and Kinyoku-ho techniques specifically.
Yeah, it describes how to do the hand sweeping for aura cleansing and the movements for Kinyoku-ho or dry bathing. Also talks about protecting your own energy with intention or the power symbol and cleansing the room afterwards.
Sometimes people do Reiki in groups, right? Reiki circles.
Chapter 14 covers group experiences, Reiki circles, shares, retreats. Great ways to meet people, practice, exchange sessions, find teachers or practitioners, and just share Reiki energy.
Why join one?
To receive Reiki, give Reiki, learn, make friends, find resources. Sometimes there are guidelines about training levels needed to participate. The energy can feel amplified in a group.
Are these just for practitioners?
Circles and shares often are for exchanging sessions, but Reiki also gets taken out into the community, hospitals, hospices, health fairs, libraries, animal shelters, and retreats offer a deeper dive, often mixed with other practices.
What if the person you want to help isn't nearby? That's where distant Reiki comes in.
Exactly. Chapter 15 is all about sending Reiki across distance and time. You usually learn this in second-degree training.
Are there rules for that?
Key guidelines. Integrity, ideally get permission. Intention, be clear who or what you're sending it to, and for their highest good. Intuition, let your inner sense guide the session. You can send it to people far away, future events like a job interview, or even to help heal past trauma.
Can you send it to situations? or the planet.
Yes.
Yeah.
To conflicts, big projects, places hit by natural disasters, areas of pollution. You might get intuitive feelings during the session, but again, share responsibly.
How do you actually do it?
Find a quiet space, focus on the recipient, maybe use a photo or just their name. Use the distance symbol to bridge the gap, then channel Reiki as you normally would, intending it for them. You can use it for yourself too, or send to many people at once. The author shares a really nice story about connecting with a friend this way.
Reiki isn't meant to replace medicine, is it? How does it fit with other health practices?
Good point. Chapter 16 makes it clear Reiki is complementary. It's a gentle energy that can enhance other treatments. Think of it as one tool in your wellness kit, along with rest, good food, movement.
So it can work alongside medical care.
Yes, absolutely. The book lists conditions where people have found it helpful: pain, anxiety, recovery, but stresses it's not a substitute for seeing a doctor. There are resources in the appendix if you want to look into research.
Can you use specific techniques for illness?
Sure. Standard positions, focusing on the affected area, beaming, koki-ho breath technique. It also mentions using Reiki in first aid situations for calming or before-after surgery to support healing.
What about combining it with things like massage or therapy?
Works well. Can deepen relaxation during massage. With counseling, it can help address the mind-body link, release emotional blocks. It even covers using Reiki to help change habits or heal addictions, often using affirmation techniques with the symbols, like Nentatsu Ho. Intention and repetition are key there.
What if someone feels called to do this professionally?
Chapter 17 addresses that moving from personal use to healing others, paid or volunteer, requires a high level of integrity, the book emphasizes.
What does being a professional healer involve?
Ethics, boundaries, maybe a code of ethics like the one in the appendix. Also practical stuff. Making a business plan, thinking about who you want to serve, how to promote yourself, managing money, getting equipment like a Reiki table.
Home office or separate space?
Pros and cons to both. Setting fees that feel fair, staying current with how Reiki understanding evolves, being part of the community, and having an abundance mindset, believing there's enough for everyone.
Reiki isn't just about healing physical stuff, though, right? It's for personal growth, too.
Definitely. Chapter 19 brings it back to Usui's original focus on spiritual development. Personal growth is a cycle. Getting inspired, knowing your truth intuitively, taking action. Reiki can help with all of that.
How? What are the 10 uses mentioned?
Receiving healing from self or others. Meditating to quiet the mind and connect. Living the Reiki principles daily. Journaling your experiences. Getting attuned. Powering up your affirmations with Reiki energy. Giving Reiki to others, which teaches you a lot. Setting clear intentions. Letting your intuition develop. And living with integrity.
How do you empower affirmations with Reiki?
Write them down, say them aloud, visualize them, and beam Reiki to them, maybe using symbols. Helps counteract negative self-talks.
Okay, last chapter. Lots of everyday uses.
Chapter 20 lists way more than 10. Simple things like boosting your food and water with Reiki, using it to help cultivate prosperity consciousness linked to the principle of honest work.
What else?
Helping pets feel safe, helping plants grow. Sending Reiki while you're traveling to smooth traffic. Protect loved ones far away. Using it to clear clutter and negative energy from your home. The power symbol is good for that. Basically weaving it into the fabric of daily life.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot based on Reiki for Dummies. Let's try to summarize the big takeaways.
I think the core message is that Reiki, as described here, is this accessible universal energy. It's about channeling it for well-being, guided by those 5 principles. There are techniques for self-healing, helping others, even at a distance, and it's presented not just for physical issues, but as a real path for personal and spiritual growth, something you can integrate with other parts of your life.
Yeah, it really seems positioned as something valuable and accessible, regardless of where you start in terms of belief.
So maybe a final thought for you listening. What if you just tried focusing on one principle, like just for today, for a little while, see how that feels? Or maybe this whole idea of subtle energy has piqued your curiosity. What's one small step you could take to explore that further for yourself?
Good questions. This deep dive gives a foundation, for sure. But there's always more to explore, maybe trying a session, reading more, the appendix has resources, or just connecting with people who practice. It really is an invitation to keep learning and discovering.